guys saw the SheShed. I was doing all of this Tyvek and framing out windows, and now, as you guys might be able to see, we're looking pretty good. I got a beautiful window right here. I've got another beautiful window right here. I've also filled in a lot of these gaps. A lot of them, like right over there, I've still got to do some work on, but today is a little bit of cleanup, so you guys might be able to tell, and then some insulation. So I'm gonna set the camera out there. You guys can see that, and then yeah, let's get this job done. Okay, so welcome to the video. I'm gonna be reviewing my footage so far and just kind of showing you what I've done as of now. The important thing that I kind of figured with this was to start with a pretty clean slate. And so that's what I'm doing here. Starting off with a nice clean surface, just sweeping everything out. You know, we've had a few weeks worth of work in here already. And yeah, it's always good to start with a nice cleaner area. So one of the things that I like about this project so far, now one of the things that I've noticed that's really done well for me, it is that taking your time and just kind of figuring things out has been the best way. But you also kind of balance yourself on a very fine line of, do I just, run in, or do I stop and think? Now, I've kind of always taken the stance of, well, you know what, slow it down, that sort of thing, and it'll be all right. But you can always be too cautious. Now, a lot of people will probably get mad at me because, you know, I'm probably not taking the proper precautions, as it were, and that's okay. That's all right. There's more than one way to skin a cat, I guess. Um, but the biggest thing that I want to talk about here is just going off of what feels right here. When I was doing all of this work on this project, whether it's been doing the Tyvek wrap, whether it's been putting on the sheathing, it's, what do you think will be the best? And then taking a little bit of time and looking at some, uh, what other people have to say. There's so many resources out there. YouTube, of course, is, in my opinion, the best resource for this, where you can type in pretty much anything and you can find good quality answers. So I've been referring to a lot of videos. Up until now, I would say that this has been one of my more technical things that I've done. Of course, I've done a bunch of stuff around the house. I put new flooring down and stuff like that. This is the first time I've done any kind of framing, sheathing, things like that. I've also never used Tyvek before, and I've got my sprinklers going multiple times a day. And it's been like that for a couple of weeks now. And the shed is staying very dry, sort of knock on wood, very lucky so far. Haven't had any kind of leaks or anything. Um, and so, again, I kind of attribute that to just taking it slow. While you see me cleaning here, some of the things that are going through my head are just doing the job right. Now, it's all fun and games. How am I doing the right thing is kind of the theme here. I've asked myself that in my head a lot, whether it's, the weight loss that I'm doing, or whether it's, this she shed build. So I ask myself over and over again, are you making the right decisions? And you've just got to reach that point where you say, you know what, screw it. I've just got to try it. And if it lands, it lands. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And so this build has been really good, I would say, for my self-esteem in a lot of ways. Because all joking aside, you can sit there and figure out this project. You can figure out the ins and outs. Am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right decision? Whatever you want to say, right? Is it the right thing? But at some point, you just have to just dig in and get going on it. As I'm kind of watching this footage back, I'm also noticing a little bit more of how my physique, I guess, as it is starting to kind of shape up a little bit. Shirt that I'm wearing there is a large, but I'm noticing that I'd say overall my body's looking a little bit better in better shape. And yeah, it's it, it's it, it's cool to look at this footage again because you can just kind of go back and see things, um, little things that you wouldn't normally notice. One of the things that I've been self-conscious about quite a bit is kind of the back of my head. I had quite a bit of like fat in the back of my head. So whenever I was looking up, for example, I could see kind of a kind of a bulge in the back, and that always made me very self-conscious, especially in my wedding pictures. I noticed that quite a bit, and I'm seeing that it's going down a lot. As I'm reviewing this, my last weigh-in was 255.2 pounds, which is the lowest that I've weighed in a long time. Um, and so that's a good feeling. That's a proud feeling. Um, and I'm looking at everything that I've been able to achieve so far. And yeah, I mean it's really exciting. But this is about the SheShed build, so we're gonna try and stick to that a little bit. Um, I've never done insulation before. I'm probably doing it wrong. I don't know. But right now it's all kind of staying up there and it looks pretty good. The the thing that I'm doing that you can't really see because of course the way that I place the camera, of course, is probably not good and you can't really see it. The insulation that I bought sort of came in a roll. I believe it was a 16 inches by 40-foot roll. So I would unroll a bit, measure out the height that I needed, and then just cut it. I had a really sharp knife. I would cut it, and then I would just go ahead and apply it. It and like I said, I haven't really done a whole lot of research. This is a shed, and so I'm not too worried about the overall sort of, I don't know if this is the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it. All I know is I'm putting the insulation where it needs to go, if that makes sense. And it's going in there, and I know that it's sticking, so I'm very happy, with the result. And it doesn't have to be perfect for me. It just needs to do its job, which is insulate. There are some smaller areas. If you look kind of below the window there, below the window sill, I guess, there are these smaller pockets, and you can't really see it from this angle. But kind of between the green of the door and the window, there's very narrow gaps. But I have styrofoam insulation that's actually meant for garage doors. And so what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to cut that down to size and then just go ahead and put that in there. Again, the goal is I want to use what I have and I want to insulate this the best that I possibly can with the skill set that I have, and just try and keep things looking as good as I possibly, can get it. But again, not too stressed, not too worried about it because the um I as I say, it's gonna be hidden behind gypsum, it's gonna be hidden behind drywall. And so my goal here is just to make sure that it does its job, which is of course cool in the summer, warm in the winter. Um, it's really cool and something that I hadn't really anticipated was just how fast all of this comes together. Really, it does it. And this video, of course, is down to 21 minutes. But I mean, I was out there realistically for about 45 minutes, just doing the areas that you saw. And then the other areas, again, once you're down in a rhythm, it took about an hour. Oh, as you saw there, had my first bit just kind of fall off. But that's all right, Um, like I said, and you'll hear it in the later part of this kind of towards the end of the video, that one particular area where that insulation fell out, that for some reason is just a little bit wider. I think it was a mistake with the framing, but there it falls out again. I just had a moment where I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. But in the end, I will fix it. What I do is I come up with a really easy solution where I get a hammer, not the right hammer for the job. It's actually a rubber mallet, and I have a couple of screws, and I just gently tap two screws in there. As you can see, my first thought is to just go ahead and get some of that gypsum just to kind of like make a barrier. But then I realized, oh wait, it's too wide. I left this bit in here because I want you guys to kind of see the mistakes that I make along the way as well. It's not all kind of a perfect finished product. But yeah, so I'm looking around here, trying to find a tool to botch the job. There you go. I got my rubber mallet, just tested it out a couple of times. And then I got a couple of, yes, screws, not nails, screws. I just kind of tap them in, um, just a little bit. I'm not going for anything too crazy. You can see that first one up there, and that second one's just a little bit lower. The goal here is to just kind of hold it in place just until I can get the drywall on. That's the goal. Um, but this is the stuff that happens. I could sit here and say, oh, this build has been difficult. So far, it hasn't really. It's been more fun than anything else. Just taking things slow and just kind of knowing your limits and then just knowing when to stop and research is kind of eh, yeah, that's basically the best that I can describe it. You just need to slow it down and relax. There are some of these areas here, and like you'll see just there, where I believe the framing was just really narrow. I don't know if this is how it came from the manufacturer or whether this is how whoever assembled it did it, but some areas are a lot tighter than others. Um, and that's okay. The weatherproofing or the waterproofing, whatever you want to call it, wasn't done well, which is why I had to go ahead and take out a whole bunch of the old sheathing to begin with. But that's not a big deal. Like I said, now I know kind of going in, okay, I've done this job right, and so I'm not stressed about it. Um, Now I can go to sleep knowing, okay, this area has been done correctly. And, it's a 40-foot roll of insulation, but I'm actually really kind of surprised at how much I was able to get out of just one roll. I was able to get pretty much a quarter done in one roll. And then, yeah, the roof, as of today, is not done. All the other walls are though, so that's again the roof is going to be complicated. And so what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and kind of time the roof insulation with the roof drywall. I just kind of want that area to be as problem free, if that makes sense, as possible. And so I don't even know if I'm going to drywall the roof or whether I'm going to try like a sheathing method because I think a sheathing method could look really cool. I may even do something along the lines of like a shiplap ceiling. Um, I don't know, and I want this build, I want this thing to be exciting. Maybe what I'll do is I'll take my wife out there. She hasn't been in the shed yet, so maybe take her in there real quick before, we get too far along in this build and just say, hey, you have three options. You got your drywall, shiplap, or we could try some kind of sheathing. What would you like? At the end of the day, I'm not too bothered. Like I said, this isn't for me, this is for her. So I just get have the fun of, the excitement of building this, which is really neat. Um, so yeah, there's a bunch of methods here. And I was actually really surprised. I don't know if I've already addressed this, but I was really surprised at how cost effective this insulation is. 25 bucks a roll from Lowe's. You really can't beat that. That is, for me, that was a really good deal. I believe I went through kind of 4.5 rolls total. There were a couple of areas I messed up. I cut a little bit too short, but that's all right. You know, like I said, with stuff being that cheap, I keep pretty much everything. As you can see, that old drywall board was left over from a project that I did 3 years ago. You know, I generally don't like to throw away good things if I don't have to. I want to keep the stuff here and try and get a good use out of it. So my last area, and this is what you'll see a little bit here, is you're gonna see that vent there in that empty area. I'm going to cut the insulation down just shy of that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to box that vent in, if that makes sense. So I'm going to basically insulate beneath it and I'm going to insulate above it. And then when I do my drywall, I'm going to cut out, that vent. So that vent's going to stay there. There's going to be nothing covering it. So you'll see here in just a second because I'm about to make my cut. And then the goal here, like I said, we're just trying to, there we go. Yeah, so it looks like it's a little bit tight, but there we go. I'm just bringing it down. And then I'm going to, like I said, frame that area out. And then we're going to put the, the drywall basically around it. So again, this is all, I believe I'm now just about switching over to my second roll. Again, amazing how much use you can get out of this stuff. And as I'm looking at this footage here, I'm seeing some of these particles. Again, I'm probably going to get some catch some flack for not looking at the for not looking at the instructions and seeing whether or not I need the uh, whether or not I need a respirator. But I didn't use it. You know, that was my decision. You know, it was hot, it was stuffy. It was the wrong decision, but it's just what I did. So you know. But yeah, I'm just taking a moment here. Like I said, it's a hot day out there. I didn't notice any of the effects of it. The insulation, like I said, I didn't really get itchy at all. I think I did get a little bit of a bite. I think it was a mosquito. Because like I said, up until recently, the window's been, cracked open or something like that. So there have been ways for things to get inside. But nothing, nothing too crazy. So yeah, um, we're just kind of getting towards the end here. And yeah, I mean, I do the rest of the area, but like I said, I want to keep these videos a little bit shorter. I notice that my viewing retention isn't what I'd like it to be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try and shorten up these videos so that, oh, there we go, showing a little bit right there. Um, I'm just trying to try and keep this as interesting as I can and yeah, so I do a lot of the work kind of behind the scenes there. And yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna kind of finish this voiceover and just kind of bring you in here for the last couple of minutes. You guys can watch that and yeah, just kind of listen to the silence, just kind of listen to me working a little bit. And then in the last few minutes I talk about kind of, yeah, just do a bit of a recap. But, from me, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you're still enjoying this build. And yeah, thank you. Just yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish up this build or the install and call that one step closer. This insulation was actually easier to work with than I thought. I probably should have worn a mask for this, but I didn't. The only thing I couldn't see any instructions on wearing a mask. Even the little man that they have on the instructions isn't wearing a mask. I feel fine. If I would have started feeling funky, I would have worn one. But feels really good, looking really good. This middle strip here, this center strip, it's a little bit wider for some reason. So I'm gonna have to, once I get my gypsum on there, I'm just gonna have to make sure everything's nice and where it should be. I'm not worried about it because, like I said, I still have a gypsum that I'm gonna have to put over it, drywall, and then yeah. But I mean, first time putting on insulation was pretty easy. So we'll call this good, and then I guess you guys are gonna see the finished product in the next video. So I hope you like this one. Thank you guys.